In the mountains of Afghanistan, where the thin air carries the whisper of bullets and the echo of ancient wars, there exists a truth that every soldier learns quickly. Snipers are the invisible hand of death. They strike without warning, disappear without trace, and leave behind only silence and fear. For 3 months, a team of 6 enemy marksmen had turned a strategic valley into a killing field, picking off coalition forces with surgical precision. Military analysts called them ghosts. Intelligence reports labeled them untouchable. Command had written off the position as impossible to clear. But on a cold morning in November, when the mist hung low between the peaks, and the world seemed suspended in gray silence, a young woman with steady hands and an unbreakable will would prove that sometimes the impossible is just another word for not yet attempted. In 18 minutes that would be dissected in military academies for decades to come, she would rewrite the rules of engagement and remind the world that legends are not born from perfect conditions, but from perfect determination when conditions are anything but perfect. This is the story of how one soldier turned the hunters into the hunted, and why 18 minutes can feel like a lifetime when you're fighting not just for victory, but for the lives of everyone counting on you to do what everyone else said couldn't be done. Staff Sergeant Maria Reyes had never believed in ghosts until she arrived at Forward Operating Base Courage in the Hindu Kush Mountains of Afghanistan. The base, carved into a rocky outcrop overlooking the Ghazi Valley, had earned its name through bitter irony rather than inspiration. For the past 93 days, courage had been in short supply as an enemy sniper team systematically terrorized every patrol, convoy, and reconnaissance mission that dared venture into their domain. The morning briefing room buzzed with the familiar tension that preceded dangerous operations. Maps covered every surface, marked with red X's that told the story of recent casualties. Colonel Harrison, a weathered veteran whose gray eyes had seen too many such briefings, stood before his assembled officers and specialist teams. His voice carried the weight of command decisions that kept him awake at night. Intelligence confirms what we already suspected, he began, pointing to aerial photographs spread across the central table. We're dealing with a highly trained enemy sniper team, estimated at 6 individuals. They've established overlapping fields of fire across 3 kilometers of the main supply route. In the past 3 months, they've been responsible for 14 confirmed kills and 37 wounded among coalition forces. Maria studied the photographs with the trained eye of someone who understood the language of terrain and angles. The enemy had chosen their positions with mathematical precision. Rocky outcroppings provided natural concealment, while carefully selected firing lanes offered maximum coverage with minimal exposure. It was textbook sniper deployment, executed with professional expertise that spoke of formal military training. Captain Williams, the base intelligence officer, continued the briefing with details that painted an increasingly grim picture. These aren't amateur insurgents taking potshots with hunting rifles. We're looking at trained marksmen using military-grade weapons, likely former Afghan National Army soldiers who joined Taliban forces after the government collapse. They operate in coordinated pairs, with excellent communication and discipline. The room fell silent as Williams described the enemy's tactics. They never fired from the same position twice. They used the mountainous terrain to approach and withdraw without detection. Most troubling of all, they seemed to anticipate coalition movements with uncanny accuracy, suggesting either exceptional reconnaissance capabilities or possible intelligence leaks within the local population. Previous attempts to neutralize this threat have been unsuccessful. Colonel Harrison admitted with obvious frustration. We've tried everything conventional doctrine suggests. Artillery bombardment failed because they evacuate their positions before the shells arrive. Airstrikes are ineffective against targets that can disappear into cave systems and tunnel networks. Direct assault teams can't get close enough without suffering casualties that make the mission cost prohibitive. Maria listened to the litany of failed attempts with growing interest rather than discouragement. While others heard reasons why the mission was impossible, she heard information about enemy patterns and preferences. Every failed attempt revealed something about how the snipers thought and operated. They were skilled, but they were also predictable within their skill set. They followed established patterns because those patterns had proven successful. The colonel's attention turned to Maria as he outlined the mission that had brought her to this remote outpost. Sergeant Reyes, your reputation precedes you. 3 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. Confirmed kills in excess of 50. Most importantly, you've demonstrated the ability to operate effectively in exactly this type of terrain and tactical situation. Maria nodded acknowledgement without false modesty. Numbers didn't tell the whole story, but they provided a foundation of credibility that allowed commanders to trust her judgment in situations where conventional approaches had failed. She had earned her reputation through careful preparation, patient execution, and an almost supernatural ability to think like her targets. The mission parameters are straightforward, Harrison continued. Neutralize the enemy sniper threat in the Ghazi Valley. Timeline is flexible, but every day of delay costs us operational capability and potentially more casualties. You'll have full tactical autonomy once you're in position. Support assets include drone reconnaissance, artillery fire support, and medical evacuation capabilities. The briefing covered logistical details that would determine whether the mission succeeded or failed before the first shot was fired. Weather patterns showed a narrow window of optimal conditions in the next 72 hours. Intelligence reports suggested the enemy team maintained predictable rotation schedules, with highest activity levels during morning and evening periods when coalition forces typically conducted patrols. Maria studied topographical maps that revealed the complexity of the operational environment. The Ghazi Valley stretched 15 kilometers between mountain ridges that rose over 3,000 meters above sea level. Ancient caravan routes carved through the landscape provided natural corridors for movement, but these same corridors had become killing fields under enemy observation. The enemy positions occupied high ground with commanding views of all approach routes. Traditional sniper tactics called for counter-snipers to seek even higher positions, but the terrain offered limited options. The highest accessible points were either too distant for effective engagement or too exposed for sustained operations. Maria would need to think differently about positioning and movement. During the hours following the briefing, Maria conducted her own detailed analysis of available intelligence. She studied every photograph, read every after-action report, and interviewed soldiers who had survived encounters with the enemy team. Each conversation revealed additional details about enemy capabilities and limitations. Private Johnson, a convoy driver who had survived an ambush 2 weeks earlier, provided crucial information about enemy timing and coordination. They hit us just as we rounded the bend near the old bridge. 2 shots, maybe 3 seconds apart. Both our lead vehicles were disabled before we knew what happened. But here's the thing, Sergeant. We heard the shots from different directions, but the timing was too perfect to be coincidental. They're talking to each other somehow. Corporal Martinez, a medic who had treated multiple sniper casualties, offered observations about wound patterns that revealed details about enemy weapons and ammunition. Clean entry wounds, high-velocity rounds, probably 7.62 NATO or similar. Precision placement suggests they're taking time to aim rather than relying on volume of fire. These guys are confident in their ability to make one shot count. The most valuable intelligence came from Sergeant First Class Thompson, a reconnaissance specialist who had attempted to locate enemy positions during previous operations. His team had gotten closer than any other coalition force, close enough to observe enemy movement patterns and tactical procedures. They move like professionals, Thompson explained, pointing to locations on the map where his team had detected signs of enemy presence. Disciplined noise discipline, careful route selection, systematic position preparation. But they have a weakness that most people miss. They're too good at following their own procedures. Maria understood immediately what Thompson meant. Professional military training created predictable behavioral patterns. Soldiers learned to follow established protocols because those protocols saved lives in most situations. But rigid adherence to doctrine could also become a vulnerability when facing an opponent who understood those same protocols. As evening approached, Maria finalized her mission plan with meticulous attention to details that could determine success or failure. She selected equipment based on mission requirements rather than personal preferences. Weight considerations demanded difficult choices between firepower and mobility. The mountain environment required specialized gear for altitude, cold weather, and rocky terrain. Her primary weapon would be a .338 Lapua Magnum rifle, chosen for its exceptional accuracy at extended range and devastating terminal ballistics. The weapon system included advanced optics capable of clear target identification at distances exceeding 1,000 meters. Backup equipment included a secondary rifle, sufficient ammunition for extended engagement, and communication gear to coordinate with support elements. The final element of mission preparation involved Psychola. The helicopter insertion went smoothly under cover of darkness, with Maria rappelling into a landing zone 3 kilometers from the nearest known enemy position. The pilot maintained minimal ground time, departing within 30 seconds of touchdown to avoid drawing attention from hostile forces monitoring air traffic patterns. Maria found herself alone in terrain that had claimed the lives of too many coalition soldiers. The night air carried sounds that told stories of the valley's recent history. Distant echoes of small arms fire suggested ongoing skirmishes between government forces and Taliban elements. Wind patterns created acoustic shadows that could hide approaching footsteps or amplify the metallic click of a weapon being prepared for action. Every sound demanded analysis and appropriate response. Maria began her approach to the target area using movement techniques perfected through years of operations in similar terrain. She avoided obvious routes that enemy forces might monitor or booby trap. Instead, she selected paths that offered concealment while minimizing noise and physical signatures that could betray her presence to trained observers. The rocky landscape demanded careful navigation in darkness with limited visibility aids. Natural light discipline prevented the use of flashlights or other illumination devices that might reveal her position to enemy forces equipped with night vision capabilities. Maria relied on practiced techniques for movement in complete darkness, feeling her way across unfamiliar terrain with methodical precision. Progress measured in meters rather than kilometers required patience that came only through extensive experience in similar operations. Each step forward demanded careful placement to avoid loose rocks that might cascade down mountainsides, creating noise signatures detectable at considerable distances. Vegetation required evaluation for potential concealment or obstacles that might impede movement during daylight operations. After 4 hours of careful movement, Maria reached her planned observation position on a rocky outcrop that provided excellent visibility across the enemy's suspected area of operations. The position offered multiple routes for withdrawal if the situation required rapid evacuation. More importantly, it provided protection from return fire while maintaining clear fields of observation and engagement. Dawn approached with the gradual lightening that transformed the valley from a landscape of shadows into a detailed tactical environment. Maria used the transition period to conduct systematic observation of terrain features, potential hiding places, and movement corridors that enemy forces might utilize during their daily operations. Her first priority involved locating the enemy positions that intelligence reports suggested dominated key areas of the valley. Previous reconnaissance efforts had identified general areas where enemy snipers operated, but precise locations remained unknown. Maria understood that finding these positions would require patience, careful observation, and the ability to detect subtle signs that most people would miss. The enemy had chosen their positions with professional competence that reflected formal military training. Each location offered commanding views of multiple approach routes while providing excellent concealment from aerial observation. Natural rock formations provided protection from return fire, while carefully selected firing lanes maximized engagement opportunities without revealing shooter positions. Maria spent the morning hours conducting methodical observation through her rifle scope, scanning each suspected position for signs of enemy presence. She looked for unnatural color patterns that might indicate camouflaged equipment or clothing. Movement detection required watching for subtle changes in shadow patterns or vegetation that might reveal human activity. Shortly before noon, her patience was rewarded with the first confirmed sighting of enemy personnel. A slight movement near a cluster of rocks approximately 800 meters distant caught her attention. Through her scope's magnification, she observed a figure wearing earth-toned clothing that blended naturally with the surrounding terrain. The individual moved with disciplined caution that immediately identified him as trained military personnel rather than an amateur insurgent. The enemy sniper occupied a position that offered excellent visibility across the main supply route, while remaining virtually invisible to observers at ground level. His placement demonstrated tactical sophistication that explained why previous attempts to locate enemy positions had failed. The location provided multiple escape routes through rocky terrain that would make pursuit extremely difficult. Maria continued her observation, mapping additional enemy positions as they revealed themselves through subtle signs of human presence. By early afternoon, she had identified 3 confirmed positions and 2 probable locations where enemy personnel maintained observation posts. The tactical picture that emerged showed a well-coordinated defensive network designed to provide mutual support between positions. The enemy team operated with professional discipline that reflected extensive training and operational experience. They maintained excellent noise discipline, communicated through subtle visual signals rather than radio transmissions that might be intercepted, and demonstrated patience that allowed them to wait for optimal engagement opportunities rather than taking hasty shots at marginal targets. Understanding enemy operational patterns required extended observation to identify behavioral tendencies that could be exploited during subsequent engagement phases. Maria noted that the enemy snipers maintained regular rotation schedules, with personnel changes occurring during periods of reduced visibility when movement between positions could be conducted with minimal risk of detection. The enemy's tactical procedures followed established doctrine that prioritized position security over target engagement opportunities. They avoided unnecessary exposure, maintained strict light discipline during hours of darkness, and demonstrated excellent camouflage discipline that made detection extremely difficult even for trained observers using advanced optical equipment. As afternoon progressed into evening, Maria observed the enemy team conducting routine activities that revealed additional details about their operational capabilities and limitations. They maintained excellent security protocols, but their adherence to established procedures created predictable patterns that could be exploited by someone who understood military doctrine. The enemy positions formed an interlocking network designed to provide mutual fire support and eliminate dead spaces where attacking forces might find concealment. The tactical arrangement reflected professional military planning, but it also created dependencies between positions that could become vulnerabilities if properly exploited. Maria spent the evening hours analyzing the intelligence she had gathered during the day's observation. She identified the sequence in which targets would need to be engaged to prevent mutual support between positions. The tactical challenge involved neutralizing multiple targets in rapid succession before surviving enemy personnel could react effectively to the initial engagement. The enemy's greatest strength lay in their ability to coordinate defensive fires from multiple positions simultaneously. Their tactical deployment assumed that any attack would come from predictable directions using conventional approaches. Maria's advantage would come from attacking in a manner that violated the enemy's tactical assumptions about how coalition forces operated. Night brought renewed activity as enemy personnel conducted position changes and equipment adjustments under cover of darkness. Maria used night vision equipment to maintain observation of enemy activities while remaining undetected in her concealed position. The additional intelligence gathered during nocturnal hours provided crucial details about enemy movement patterns and security procedures. Communication intercepts revealed that the enemy team maintained radio contact with higher command elements, reporting daily status updates, and requesting permission for specific engagements. The disciplined communication procedures demonstrated that these were regular military personnel operating under formal command authority rather than independent insurgent elements. The enemy's confidence in their tactical situation was evident in their relaxed security postures during hours when coalition forces typically avoided operations in the area. They had grown accustomed to operating without serious threats to their positions, creating a psychological vulnerability that could be exploited through unexpected action at times when they felt most secure. Maria finalized her engagement plan based on detailed analysis of enemy positions, capabilities, and operational patterns. The mission would require precise timing, flawless execution, and the ability to maintain absolute focus under extreme pressure. Success depended on neutralizing the entire enemy team before they could coordinate effective defensive measures. The plan involved engaging targets in sequence that would prevent mutual support between positions while maximizing the element of surprise. Each engagement needed to be completed with single shots to avoid revealing her position before all targets could be neutralized. The entire sequence would need to be executed within minutes to prevent enemy forces from organizing coordinated resistance. Equipment preparation involved final checks of all systems. T-dawn on November 15th brought weather conditions that would have discouraged most military operations, but provided exactly what Maria needed for her mission. Heavy clouds hung low over the mountain peaks, creating diffused lighting that reduced visibility while providing natural concealment from enemy observation. The atmospheric conditions would work to her advantage in ways the enemy could not anticipate. Temperature readings showed the air was cold enough to minimize heat signature detection while remaining within operational parameters for her equipment. Wind patterns were steady but not excessive, providing predictable ballistic conditions for long-range engagements. Most importantly, the humidity levels would help suppress the visual signature of muzzle flash while maintaining optimal ammunition performance. Maria began her final approach to the engagement position before first light, using the remaining darkness to move into optimal firing locations without detection. She had selected a position that provided clear lines of sight to all identified enemy locations while offering natural concealment and protection from return fire. The technical aspects of the position met every requirement for successful sniper operations. The position offered elevation advantages that would improve ballistic trajectories while providing psychological advantages that came from attacking from unexpected directions. Enemy defensive preparations had focused on threats approaching from valley floor positions where coalition forces typically operated. Maria's elevated position violated their tactical assumptions about threat directions. Final equipment checks revealed that all systems were functioning within optimal parameters. Primary Weapon 0 was confirmed through careful observation of distant reference points that provided precise measurement of optical accuracy. Backup systems received similar verification to ensure seamless transition if primary equipment experienced malfunctions during critical moments. Communication equipment maintained clear contact with support elements positioned to provide assistance if the tactical situation required additional resources. Artillery fire support remained on standby with predetermined target coordinates that could deliver suppressive fires within minutes of request. Medical evacuation assets stood ready to respond if the mission resulted in casualties requiring immediate treatment. As morning light gradually improved visibility across the valley, Maria began systematic observation of enemy positions to determine current personnel locations and activity levels. The intelligence gathered during previous days had provided detailed knowledge of enemy capabilities, but real-time information about their immediate tactical situation remained essential for mission success. The first enemy sniper became visible in his position approximately 700 meters to the northeast, occupying the same location Maria had observed during previous reconnaissance. His placement provided excellent visibility across the main supply route while offering natural protection from conventional attack directions. The target appeared relaxed and confident, unaware that he was being observed by someone preparing to engage. A second target became apparent in a rocky outcrop 850 meters to the northwest, positioned to provide overlapping fields of fire with the first location. The tactical coordination between positions demonstrated the professional military training that made this enemy team so effective against previous coalition operations. Their mutual support capabilities would need to be neutralized simultaneously to prevent coordinated defensive responses. The third enemy position revealed itself through subtle movement approximately 900 meters to the north, where vegetation provided natural camouflage that had concealed the location during previous aerial reconnaissance attempts. The sniper in this position maintained observation of approach routes that coalition forces might use for flanking movements against the other two positions. Additional targets appeared as the morning progressed, and enemy personnel settled into their routine observation and engagement patterns. Maria identified a fourth position approximately 1 kilometer to the northeast, where an enemy sniper maintained overwatch of distant approaches that might be used by coalition reinforcement elements. The extended range would challenge her marksmanship capabilities, but remained within engagement parameters for her weapon system. A fifth target became visible in a concealed position only 600 meters to the east, dangerously close, but offering limited visibility of Maria's location due to terrain features that blocked direct observation. This position appeared to serve as a command post where the enemy team leader coordinated operations and maintained communication with higher command elements. The sixth and final enemy position revealed itself through careful observation of communication patterns between the other locations. Subtle visual signals indicated coordination with a position approximately 1,050 meters to the northwest, where rocky terrain provided excellent concealment, but limited fields of fire. This position likely served as an escape route coordinator and backup support element. Understanding the complete tactical picture allowed Maria to develop the engagement sequence that would provide optimal chances for mission success. The targets would need to be engaged in an order that prevented effective coordination while maximizing the element of surprise throughout the engagement. Mathematical precision would determine the difference between complete success and potential failure. The engagement plan required eliminating the command post first to disrupt coordination capabilities, followed by the positions with the greatest mutual support potential. The sequence would then proceed to isolated positions before concluding with the most distant targets that posed the least immediate threat to mission success. Each engagement needed to be completed with single shots to maintain surprise and prevent enemy forces from identifying her position. Weather conditions continued to develop in ways that favored the upcoming engagement. Cloud cover provided natural concealment while maintaining sufficient visibility for precision marksmanship. Wind patterns remained steady and predictable, allowing accurate ballistic calculations for engagements across varied ranges and elevation differences. Maria conducted final ballistic calculations for each target, accounting for range, elevation, wind conditions, temperature, humidity, and atmospheric pressure. Each engagement would require slight adjustments to compensate for environmental factors that affected projectile flight paths. The mathematical precision required for success at these ranges demanded absolute accuracy in calculation and execution. Equipment positioning optimized weapon stability for rapid transition between targets while maintaining concealment from enemy observation. The rifle was positioned to allow smooth movement between engagement angles without exposing Maria's position through unnecessary movement or profile changes. Every aspect of the tactical setup focused on efficiency and speed of execution. Mental preparation involved visualization exercises that rehearsed each phase of the engagement sequence until the movements became automatic responses. Maria reviewed the order of targets, required adjustments for each shot, and procedures for rapid transition between positions. Success would depend on flawless execution under combat stress that could degrade performance if not properly managed. The morning developed with routine enemy activities that suggested normal operational patterns without unusual security concerns. Enemy personnel conducted regular observation duties without apparent awareness that their positions had been compromised. Their confidence in their tactical security would become a crucial advantage during the engagement phase. Time calculations indicated that the optimal engagement window would occur when enemy personnel were settled in their positions, but before they began active scanning for coalition activity. The timing would provide maximum surprise while ensuring all targets were visible and engaged in predictable activities that would not require adjustments to the engagement plan. Final communications with support elements confirmed that all backup systems remained ready for immediate response if the tactical situation required assistance. Artillery support maintained target coordinates and stood ready to deliver suppressive fires on enemy positions if the engagement resulted in return fire that threatened Maria's position. Medical evacuation remained on standby for immediate response to casualty situations. As the engagement window approached, Maria conducted final system checks to ensure optimal performance during the critical moments ahead. Primary weapon systems showed perfect mechanical function with optimal optical clarity for precision engagement. Ammunition selection provided maximum terminal effectiveness for targets at varied ranges wearing different types of protective equipment. The psychological preparation required for engaging multiple human targets in rapid succession demanded mental discipline that came only through extensive combat experience. Maria understood that success required maintaining absolute focus on tactical objectives while managing the emotional impact of lethal force employment. Professional competence would determine mission outcome more than personal feelings about the necessity of violence. Weather conditions stabilized at optimal parameters for precision marksmanship operations. Visibility remained excellent despite cloud cover that provided natural concealment. Wind patterns showed consistency that would allow accurate ballistic predictions throughout the engagement sequence. Temperature and humidity levels fell within ranges that optimized ammunition performance and equipment function. The enemy team continued their routine activities without apparent concern for threats to their tactical security. 3 months of successful operations had created confidence in their defensive capabilities that would work against them when facing an attack that violated their expectations about coalition tactical procedures. Their adherence to established patterns would provide the predictability necessary for successful engagement. At exactly 0847 hours, Maria squeezed the trigger of her .338 Lapua Magnum rifle for the first time that morning. The target was the enemy commander in the position 600 meters to the east, selected for elimination because his death would disrupt coordination between the other 5 positions. The shot was perfect, striking center mass and neutralizing the target instantly before he could alert his team to the presence of a coalition sniper. The sound of the gunshot echoed across the valley, but the direction remained unclear to the surviving enemy snipers due to acoustic properties of the mountainous terrain. Maria immediately transitioned to her second target, the sniper positioned 850 meters to the northwest, who provided mutual support with the first position she had identified. The mathematical calculations for this engagement required adjustments for increased range and slight wind deflection. 47 seconds after the first shot, Maria engaged the second target with another precisely placed round that eliminated the threat before the enemy sniper could identify the source of the initial gunfire. 2 targets down, 4 remaining, with the element of surprise still intact. The enemy team was beginning to realize they were under attack, but they had not yet located Maria's position or coordinated an effective response. The third engagement came 68 seconds into the operation, targeting the sniper in the rocky outcrop 900 meters to the north. This position posed the greatest threat to Maria's location because the enemy sniper had begun scanning in her direction after hearing the previous shots. The range required precise ballistic calculations, but the shot eliminated the threat just as the enemy sniper was raising his rifle to return fire. Enemy communication discipline was breaking down as the survivors realized they were facing a coordinated attack from an unknown position. Radio chatter increased dramatically as the remaining 3 snipers attempted to coordinate defensive measures while identifying the threat direction. Their tactical training emphasized mutual support, but Maria's engagement sequence was systematically eliminating their ability to provide covering fire for each other. The 4th target occupied the position approximately 1 kilometer to the northeast, where he maintained overwatch of distant approaches. This sniper had the longest range to Maria's position, making him the least immediate threat, but also the most difficult shot due to extreme range and environmental factors. At 96 seconds into the engagement, Maria compensated for wind deflection, bullet drop, and atmospheric conditions to place a round that neutralized the target at maximum effective range. 2 enemy snipers remained active, both now fully aware that they were under attack from a highly skilled opponent. Their radio communications revealed growing panic as they attempted to coordinate withdrawal from positions that had suddenly become death traps rather than defensive advantages. The tactical situation had reversed completely, with the hunters becoming the hunted. The 5th engagement targeted the sniper positioned only 600 meters to the east in what had served as a secondary command position. This enemy sniper was attempting to provide covering fire for the remaining team member while coordinating with higher command elements for artillery or air support. At 2 minutes and 14 seconds into the operation, Maria's 5th shot eliminated this threat, and left only one enemy sniper alive in the valley. The final target represented the greatest challenge because the surviving enemy sniper had identified Maria's approximate position and was maneuvering to engage her location with return fire. The tactical situation had become a direct duel between two professional snipers, with the survivor being the one who could acquire and engage their target first. The enemy sniper occupied a position approximately 1,050 meters to the northwest, using rocky terrain for concealment while trying to gain a clear shot. Maria had two advantages in the final engagement. She knew exactly where the enemy sniper was located, and her position provided better concealment than his rocky outcrop. However, the enemy sniper was moving between covered positions, making target acquisition difficult while he attempted to maneuver for a clear shot at her location. The engagement required patience and precise timing. At 4 minutes and 37 seconds into the operation, the enemy sniper made a tactical error by exposing himself while attempting to gain a better firing position. Maria had been tracking his movement pattern and anticipated his next position. When he appeared in her crosshairs, she was ready with a shot that had been calculated and prepared during the seconds before his appearance. The sixth and final shot eliminated the last enemy sniper at exactly 18 minutes and 12 seconds after the engagement began. The valley fell silent except for the echo of the final gunshot reverberating between mountain peaks. Maria maintained her position for several minutes, observing through her rifle scope to confirm that all targets had been neutralized and no additional enemy personnel were present in the area. Radio communications with Forward Operating Base Courage confirmed that all enemy positions had been eliminated and the threat to coalition operations in the Ghazi Valley had been neutralized. Artillery support was canceled, and medical evacuation assets were notified that their services would not be required. The mission had achieved complete success without coalition casualties or the need for supporting fires. Maria began her withdrawal from the engagement area using carefully planned routes that avoided potential enemy reinforcement approaches. The tactical situation required immediate evacuation because enemy command elements would soon realize that their sniper team had been eliminated and would likely dispatch quick reaction forces to investigate the situation and attempt to locate the coalition sniper responsible. Movement through hostile territory required the same careful attention to noise discipline and concealment that had characterized her approach to the target area. However, the successful completion of the mission created psychological advantages that improved her ability to navigate through potentially dangerous terrain. Confidence in her tactical capabilities enhanced decision-making speed and reduced the stress that could degrade performance during withdrawal operations. The extraction point was located 3 kilometers from the engagement area, requiring 2 hours of careful movement through terrain that enemy forces might use for pursuit operations. Maria selected routes that offered concealment while avoiding obvious paths that enemy quick reaction forces might monitor or ambush. Navigation relied on predetermined waypoints that had been selected during mission planning. Coalition air assets provided overwatch during the withdrawal phase, monitoring enemy radio communications and scanning for hostile force movements that might threaten the extraction operation. Intelligence reports indicated that enemy command elements were aware that their sniper team had been eliminated but had not yet determined the location or size of the coalition force responsible for the action. Helicopter extraction proceeded without enemy interference, lifting Maria from the landing zone exactly 4 hours after the final shot had been fired. The pilot maintained minimum ground time to reduce exposure to potential enemy fire, departing immediately after confirming that Maria was safely aboard the aircraft. The return flight to Forward Operating Base Courage provided the first opportunity for detailed mission debriefing. Colonel Harrison was waiting at the landing zone when the helicopter touched down, along with intelligence officers who needed immediate tactical information about enemy capabilities and the current situation in the Ghazi Valley. The mission's success had strategic implications that extended beyond the elimination of a single enemy sniper team. Initial debriefing revealed that the enemy sniper team had been completely eliminated through precise marksmanship at ranges varying from 600 to over 1,000 meters. All 6 targets had been neutralized with single shots, demonstrating tactical proficiency that would serve as a model for future counter-sniper operations. The engagement duration of 18 minutes represented exceptional efficiency in eliminating multiple targets across varied terrain. Intelligence analysis of the engagement provided valuable INF. The immediate aftermath of the Ghazi Valley engagement transformed the operational environment throughout the entire regional command structure. Within hours of Maria's successful mission, coalition forces were conducting routine patrols along routes that had been death traps just the day before. The psychological impact of eliminating the enemy sniper threat extended far beyond the tactical advantages gained through restored freedom of movement. Enemy forces throughout the region received word that their most successful sniper team had been eliminated by a single coalition operator in less than 20 minutes. The psychological warfare implications were enormous, as enemy commanders realized that their tactical advantages could be neutralized through superior training and equipment. Recruitment efforts for sniper teams became significantly more difficult when potential candidates understood they would face opponents capable of such devastating precision. Colonel Harrison utilized the mission's success to advocate for expanded counter-sniper capabilities throughout the coalition command structure. The effectiveness demonstrated in the Ghazi Valley provided concrete evidence that investing in advanced sniper training and equipment produced measurable tactical advantages that justified resource allocation. Military leadership at higher command levels took notice of results that could be quantified in lives saved and operational freedom restored. Intelligence reports gathered during the weeks following the engagement revealed the true scope of the enemy sniper team's impact on coalition operations. The 6 eliminated snipers had been responsible for over 40 coalition casualties during their 3 months of operations, while restricting movement for thousands of personnel who required alternate routes and transportation methods to avoid their fields of fire. The economic cost of their activities had reached millions of dollars in delayed operations and additional security requirements. Maria found herself assigned to a newly created position as Senior Instructor for Advanced Counter-Sniper Operations, responsible for developing training programs that would prepare other soldiers to face similar challenges in different operational environments. The techniques and procedures developed for the Ghazi Valley mission became the foundation for doctrine that would be implemented throughout coalition forces worldwide. The training program incorporated lessons learned from every aspect of the successful mission, from initial intelligence gathering through final target engagement. Students learned to analyze enemy capabilities through detailed observation, develop engagement sequences that maximize tactical advantages, and execute precise marksmanship under extreme pressure. The curriculum emphasized mental preparation as much as technical proficiency. Advanced ballistics training became a cornerstone of the program, with students learning to calculate precise firing solutions for targets at extended ranges under varied environmental conditions. The mathematical complexity of long-range marksmanship required educational backgrounds that many soldiers lacked, leading to enhanced recruitment standards and preliminary education requirements for sniper training programs. Equipment development accelerated as military researchers worked to provide soldiers with technological advantages that would improve their effectiveness in counter-sniper operations. Advanced optical systems, improved ballistic computers, and enhanced communication equipment became priorities for procurement programs that aimed to provide every sniper with capabilities similar to those demonstrated in the Ghazi Valley. International military observers visited the training facility to study the techniques that had proven so effective against enemy sniper teams. Allied forces incorporated similar training methodologies into their own programs, creating a multiplier effect that extended the tactical advantages gained through Maria's successful mission. The operational impact spread throughout NATO forces and coalition partners worldwide. Enemy tactical adaptations became evident within months of the engagement, as hostile forces modified their sniper employment techniques to counter the capabilities demonstrated by coalition forces. Enemy snipers began operating in larger teams with enhanced communication equipment and more sophisticated escape plans. However, their effectiveness remained significantly reduced compared to pre-engagement levels. The academic analysis of the 18-minute engagement became required study material in military academies and professional development programs throughout the defense establishment. Students analyzed every aspect of the mission from initial planning through final execution, learning lessons that applied to leadership, tactical planning, equipment selection, and performance under pressure. Statistical analysis revealed that coalition sniper casualties throughout the regional command structure decreased by over 60% during the year following the Ghazi Valley engagement. Enemy sniper activity declined significantly as fewer trained marksmen volunteered for positions that had become demonstrably more dangerous than previously believed. The deterrent effect multiplied the tactical impact far beyond the immediate elimination of 6 enemy personnel. Media attention focused on the human interest aspects of a single soldier achieving what larger military units had been unable to accomplish through conventional operations. However, Maria consistently emphasized that her success resulted from superior training, advanced equipment, and detailed planning rather than individual heroism. The mission represented system effectiveness rather than personal achievement. Congressional testimony about the engagement influenced defense, spending priorities, and military personnel policies. Legislators recognized that investing in advanced individual training could produce tactical advantages that expensive technological systems sometimes failed to achieve. The cost-effectiveness of elite sniper training became a powerful argument for continued funding of specialized military programs. Enemy propaganda attempts to minimize the impact of losing their most effective sniper team revealed the psychological damage inflicted by the successful mission. Radio broadcasts and internet postings claimed that the eliminated snipers had been recalled for other missions or had achieved promotion to higher positions. The obvious desperation behind these false claims demonstrated the enemy's recognition that they had suffered a significant tactical defeat. Follow-up operations in the Ghazi Valley revealed the sophisticated nature of the eliminated enemy positions and confirmed the professional competence of the neutralized sniper team. Coalition forces discovered advanced equipment, detailed intelligence files, and communication systems that indicated formal military training and support from higher command elements. The enemy personnel had been elite soldiers rather than amateur insurgents. Long-term strategic assessment showed that eliminating the enemy sniper team created opportunities for enhanced coalition operations that continued to produce benefits years after the original engagement. Infrastructure development projects became feasible in areas that had been too dangerous for civilian contractors. Economic development programs could proceed without the security restrictions that sniper threats had previously required. The ripple effects of 18 minutes of combat continued to influence military operations and enemy activities throughout the region for years following the original engagement. Enemy forces required additional resources for sniper team security and training, reducing their capabilities in other operational areas. Coalition forces gained confidence and tactical flexibility that improved performance across multiple mission categories. Maria's transition to training responsibilities allowed her to influence hundreds of soldiers who would face similar challenges in future operations. Each student who completed the Advanced Counter-Sniper program carried the lessons learned from the Ghazi Valley engagement into subsequent deployments. The tactical knowledge multiplied exponentially through each generation of trained personnel. Recognition of the mission's significance came through formal awards and academic acknowledgement, but the true measure of success remained the operational freedom restored to coalition forces and the lives saved through elimination of the enemy threat. Tactical victories achieved through individual excellence created strategic advantages that influenced entire theaters of operation. The legend of the Ghazi Valley engagement grew beyond the military community as civilian analysts recognized the broader implications of advanced training overcoming technological and numerical disadvantages. Business schools studied the mission as an example of preparation, planning, and execution under extreme pressure. Leadership development programs used the engagement to illustrate decision-making effectiveness in crisis situations. Years later, when military historians analyzed the factors that contributed to coalition success in the regional conflict, the elimination of the enemy sniper team in the Ghazi Valley received recognition as a turning point that restored tactical initiative and demonstrated the effectiveness of professional military training. 18 minutes of precise marksmanship had influenced the outcome of operations involving thousands of personnel over multiple years. The valley itself became a symbol of what could be achieved through competence, courage, and unwavering commitment to mission success. Veterans who served in the region after the engagement understood that their operational freedom had been purchased through the exceptional performance of someone who had never learned to accept defeat as permanent. The mountains remembered the echoes of 6 precisely placed shots that had changed everything. Maria continued her service with the knowledge that the most important victories are often measured not in recognition received, but in lives saved and missions accomplished. The enemy snipers who had terrorized coalition forces for 3 months had met someone whose skills exceeded their own, proving that legends are created through preparation meeting opportunity when the stakes demand nothing less than perfection. 18 minutes had been enough to write a new chapter in the manual that defines what becomes possible when training, equipment, and determination combine to overcome impossible odds. Information about enemy training levels, equipment capabilities, and tactical procedures. The professional competence demonstrated by the eliminated snipers confirmed that coalition forces faced trained military personnel rather than amateur insurgents. This intelligence would influence future operational planning throughout the regional command structure. Media attention focused on the exceptional marksmanship skills required to eliminate 6 targets in rapid succession at extended ranges. Military analysts described the engagement as a textbook example of superior training and tactical planning overcoming numerical disadvantages and enemy terrain advantages. The operation would be studied in sniper schools and military academies as an example of professional excellence under extreme pressure. The tactical impact of the mission extended far beyond the immediate elimination of the enemy sniper threat. Coalition forces regained freedom of movement throughout the Ghazi Valley, allowing resumed patrol operations, convoy movements, and reconnaissance missions that had been suspended due to sniper activity. The psychological effect on enemy forces in the region was equally significant, demonstrating that their tactical advantages could be overcome through superior training and equipment. Awards and recognition followed the successful mission, but Maria understood that the greatest reward was the knowledge that coalition personnel could once again operate safely in terrain that had been dominated by enemy forces for 3 months. The 18 minutes of combat had restored tactical balance and proven that professional competence could overcome seemingly impossible odds. The enemy sniper team that had terrorized coalition forces for 93 days had been eliminated in less time than it takes to complete a morning briefing. 6 professional soldiers who had dominated a strategic valley through skill and tactical advantage had encountered someone whose skills exceeded their own. The legend of the unstoppable enemy snipers had ended with 18 minutes of precise marksmanship that would be remembered long after the mountains themselves had forgotten the sound of gunfire. As the critical moment approached, Maria settled into final firing position with weapon systems optimized for the challenges ahead. 6 enemy snipers occupied positions that had dominated coalition operations for 3 months. In the next few minutes, their reign of tactical superiority would face the ultimate test against someone who had never learned to accept defeat as anything more than temporary setback. The valley held its breath as morning mist began to dissipate, revealing terrain that would soon witness an engagement that would be studied in military academies for decades to come. 18 minutes would determine whether professional competence could overcome superior numbers and tactical advantages held by an enemy team that had never faced defeat in their chosen battleground. How would be required during the engagement phase? Primary and backup weapons received detailed inspection to ensure flawless operation under combat conditions. Ammunition selection focused on rounds that would provide maximum terminal effectiveness at extended ranges across varied target presentations. Mental preparation required visualization exercises that prepared Maria for the psychological demands of the upcoming engagement. She reviewed each phase of the operation, anticipating potential complications and preparing appropriate responses for situations that might develop during execution. Success required automatic responses that would function effectively even under extreme stress. As the second night in enemy territory approached, Maria positioned herself for the engagement that would determine whether months of enemy domination over the Ghazi Valley would continue or end in a single morning's work. The stakes involved more than tactical success. Coalition forces throughout the region needed proof that enemy advantages could be overcome through superior training, careful planning, and unwavering determination. The enemy sniper team had established their reputation through 93 days of successful operations against coalition forces. Tomorrow would test whether that reputation could withstand an attack from someone who understood that legends are created by exceeding what others believe possible. The valley waited in darkness for a dawn that would change everything. Jickle readiness for what lay ahead. Maria understood that success required more than technical proficiency and tactical knowledge. She would need to maintain absolute focus during extended periods of observation, make split-second decisions under extreme pressure, and execute precise movements while managing the physiological effects of altitude, cold, and stress. Colonel Harrison's final briefing emphasized the stakes involved in the mission outcome. The enemy sniper team has effectively cut our main supply route and restricted our operational freedom throughout this sector. Their presence prevents us from conducting effective counterinsurgency operations and puts additional strain on our logistics capabilities. More importantly, every day they remain active increases the risk to our personnel. Maria accepted the mission with full understanding of both its difficulty and its importance. As she conducted final equipment checks and prepared for insertion into hostile territory, she reflected on the challenge that awaited her. 6 enemy snipers with 3 months of operational success, superior terrain, and proven tactical effectiveness. 1 soldier with a mission to prove that sometimes the impossible just required a different approach. The transport helicopter lifted off from forward operating base Courage as the sun disappeared behind the mountain peaks, carrying Maria toward a confrontation that would test every skill she had developed during years of specialized training. Below, the Ghazi Valley stretched into darkness, hiding secrets that would soon be revealed through the crosshairs of a scope wielded by someone who had never learned to accept defeat as permanent condition.